We are continuing Narad's speech. On the altar, throwing thy thoughts, thy heart, thy works, thy fate is a long sacrifice to the gods. Speaking of fate, he says how fate as a transaction is a continuous sacrifice to the gods in which one's works, heart and thoughts are constantly thrown as offerings to the gods till they have opened to thee thy secret self. The sacrifice continues till the gods open the passage to the secret self and made thee one with the indwelling God. Mark the distinction between gods and God. The gods are so many deities presiding over cosmic operations, and the sacrifice to these gods continues till one is united with the indwelling God. Till then, one is obliged to participate in turning one's life into sacrifice to the gods. O soul, intruder in nature's ignorance, the soul of man is addressed as an intruder in nature's ignorance. The soul submits itself to the rule of ignorance. It is not a native of the kingdom of ignorance. Armed traveler to the unseen supernal heights, thy spirit's fate is a battle and ceaseless march against invisible opponent power, a passage from matter into timeless self. The whole movement of life across life and death is a battle, a ceaseless march against the opponent powers who are invisible. If the gods are invisible, the opponent powers also are occult, are invisible, though they may use human instrumentation as they often do. And the whole thing is a passage from matter into timeless like self. Adventurer through blind, unforeseen time, it is the human soul. A forced advance through a long line of lives, not one life, but innumerable lives. It pushes its spearhead through the centuries, through all the vicissitudes of life. The soul slowly pushes itself to the front. It spearheads through various experiences, no matter if it takes centuries. Across the dust and mire of the earthly plain, on many guarded lines and dangerous fronts, in dire assaults, in wounded slow retreats, or holding the ideal's battered fort, of fighting against gods in lonely posts, or camped in night around the bivouac's fires, awaiting the tardy trumpets of the dawn. He is describing the various phases of the struggle in terms of a battle. In a battle, there is the dust and mire of the earthly plain. Next, on many guarded lines and dangerous fronts, one is never sure from where the danger comes. It need not always come on the guarded lines. In dire assaults from the enemy, in wounded slow retreats, in the battle there are assaults, there are retreats, or holding the ideal's battered fort. One feels on occasion battered, the ideals which one has cherished, which one has hoped to realize, the ideal is attacked, and it is like a fort which is being battered, or fighting against odds in lonely posts where there are no helpers, or camped in night around the bivouac's fires in night. When the battle comes to stop, at any rate in the older times, night means there will be no battle, and there was no electricity during those days. So they would light fires, and the army soldiers, generals, they would all sit around the fire to have their food cooked and served and eaten. So, camped in night around the bivouac's fires, awaiting the tardy trumpets of the dawn. The trumpets of the dawn are sounded to signal that the fight can begin. In hunger and in plenty and in pain, through peril and through triumph and through fall, up the bald moor, the plain hill, along the sunlit ridge, in serried columns with a straggling rear. Serried columns, well organized, one after another the columns are marching with a straggling rear, but at the rear, at the last, the numbers are straying. They are not that organized. Led by its nomad vanguard signal fires. In the vanguard, there are always signal fires, torches, flame lights to indicate which way to advance. Marches the army of the way lost God. All this is the march of the army of the way lost God. That is the soul which has lost its way in the meandering paths and lanes of ignorance and falsehood. The soul which is a way lost God has to battle, has to find his way. Then late the joy ineffable is felt. Late in the journey, late as the battle proceeds, an ineffable joy is felt. Then he remembers his forgotten self. That is the psychic movement. When there is the ineffable joy, a joy which cannot be explained, a joy which cannot be described, there he gets back the memory that myself is within. He remembers his forgotten self. He has refound the skies from which he fell. He has rediscovered, he has discovered the skies from where he has fallen. It is both within and above. He remembers, oh, this is from where I have come, and this is where is my base. At length, his front's indomitable line forces the last passes of the ignorance. At the end of the march, the last passes, the last boundaries of ignorance are crossed, advancing beyond nature's last known bound, reconnoitering the formidable unknown. Nature one knows, but beyond nature it is the unknown. So, the way lost God has to reconnoiter, that is, first scout the area through one's agents, through one's spies. What is the layout? Beyond the landmarks of things visible, that is, invisible world, invisible spheres, it mounts through a miraculous upper air till climbing the new summit of the world. The summit of the world is not vociferous, but new, silent. Climbing that, he stands upon the splendid peaks of God. That is where he ultimately arrives after whatever vicissitudes, after whatever number of incarnations. And then he addresses the queen. Narad addresses the queen and says, in vain thou mournest that Satyavan must die. His death is a beginning of greater life. Death is the spirit's opportunity. The sense is that death arrives when the soul has decided to leave, because the body cannot serve its purpose any longer. Either it is incapacitated, sick, broken, or due to excess of falsehood in the being. It is a waste of time for the soul to continue in the body. That is what Mother used to describe as the soul is tired of the outer blackness. And then death is the spirit's opportunity to escape from this imprisonment and begin another adventure. And in that sense, death is a beginning of greater life. Elsewhere, Sri Aurobindo refers, death is a process of life. Life is eternal. Life renews itself through the process of death. Otherwise it stagnates without progressing. A vast intention, he addresses the queen and tells, a vast intention has brought two souls close, Savitri and Satyavan, and love and death conspire towards one great end. The love that they have found, the death that threatened, both of them conspire together towards one great end. What is that end? He does not spell out now. He says, He does, I think. For out of danger and pain, heaven bliss shall come. Time's unforeseen event, God's secret plan. God's secret plan is that out of danger and pain, the bliss of heaven shall come and establish itself. And he says why? This is a famous passage. This world was not built with the random bricks of chance. This world is an edifice that has not been built with bricks of chance that have somehow been assembled. A blind God is not destiny's architect. The architect, that means destiny has an architect. And that architect is not a blind God, but a conscious soul. A conscious power has drawn the plan of life. There is meaning in each curve and line. In our ignorance, we imagine many things as wasteful, meaningless, insignificant. We overlook, we ignore many features. As a corrective, he points out, there is a meaning in each curve and line. If only we have the patience to study, to perceive, to grasp, what's the intention? What's the meaning? Why this has happened? It reveals the purpose. It is an architecture high and grand, this world, by many named and nameless masons built. Not all the masons who have built this world are known to us. There are many unknown, in which the unseeing hands obey the unseen. Many hands work mechanically. They don't see, they are not conscious, but instinctively they obey the unseen. And of its master builder, she is one. Of the master builders of the world, Savitri is one. Queen, strive no more to change the secret will. There is a secret will of God presiding over everything. Thy daughter is not an ordinary creature. She is one of the master builders. Strive no more to change the secret will. Time's accidents are steps in its vast speed. Many things may appear to be just accidents, unforeseen events, accidents in time, but in the long range view, they reveal themselves to be graded steps in a vast scheme of God. Bring not thy brief and helpless human tears across the fathomless moments of a heart that knows its single will and God's as one. Her heart knows that her own will and the will of God are one. And between her will and God's, don't you bring your grief and tears. It can embrace its hostile destiny. Savitri is capable of handling her destiny, however hostile. It sits apart with grief and facing death. Her will sits apart with grief. It may share the grief and face the death, affronting adverse fate, armed and alone. Armed she is with her own equipment and alone. She doesn't need anybody's help. In this enormous world standing apart, in the mightiness of her silent spirit's will, this is all applies to Savitri. In this enormous world, standing apart in the mightiness of her silent spirit's will, in the passion of her soul of sacrifice, there is an intensity, there is a passion in her sacrifice of herself, her lonely strength facing the universe. She is facing the entire universe with her lone strength, uncompanioned strength, affronting fate, asks not man's help nor God. Not surprising if she doesn't ask for man's help, but he says she doesn't care for even God's help. She can front the destiny by herself. Affronting fate, asks not man's help nor God. Sometimes one life is charged with earth's destiny. It cries not for succor from the time-bound power. Very occasionally, one life is loaded, is charged with the destiny of the earth. And such a life, it does not cry, it does not ask for succor, help from time-bound powers. It has been charged from something beyond time. And it won't ask for help and assistance from powers which are time-bound. Alone, she is equal to her mighty task. Intervene not in a strife too great for thee. He addresses the queen again. Intervene not in a strife too great for thee, a struggle too deep for mortal thought to sound. Its question to this nature's rigid bounds. When the soul fronts nude of garb the infinite, when the soul, without any garb, human, clothes in the sense, constructions, mental constructions, vital constructions, without them, when it fronts the infinite, its too vast theme of a lonely mortal will, facing the silence of eternity. Her lonely mortal will walks across the silence of eternity. All those things are too great for thee. As a star, uncompanioned, moves in heaven, unastonished by the immensities of space. A single little star, it has no companion, but it moves in the vast of heaven. It is not overpowered by any astonishment at the immensities of space around it, traveling infinity by its own light. And then he says, the great are strongest when they stand alone. Those who are great are strongest when they stand alone, because he explains elsewhere that there is no expectation or summoning of help from anyone of one's own level or lower. And in that crisis, the strength of the soul, the strength of the self from within surges forward. For that, one has to be alone. If one is surrounded by people who are anxious to help, if one depends upon others who are ready to help, there is no urgency for the reserves to come forward. So the greater, strongest, when they stand alone. Now here explains, a God-given might of being is their force. A ray from self-solitude of light to guide. The force is the might which God has given within the being, and the light which guides is a ray from the self which is alone. The soul that can live alone with itself needs God. Here is a key to spiritual discipline. The soul that can live alone with itself needs God. Here is a hint that every person, every seeker must cultivate the art of living alone, of living in inner solitude, unmixed with others, and enjoy that solitude. And only a soul that has prepared itself in this manner, which will miss nothing, even if the whole world is not there, that soul will not miss it. It is self-sufficient, self-enjoying, self-lost, what the Upanishad calls Atma-ratihi, Atma-josha. That needs God, because it depends upon nothing else. The soul that can live alone with itself needs God. This lonely universe is the rendezvous. Rendezvous is a solitary place where the two lovers meet. Now, the lonely universe within, that's the place where the seeker and God meet. And that has to be cultivated, established, kept ready for the rendezvous with God. I think we should stop here.